Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is Mr. Dogboat333, and welcome back to Hearts of Iron for the New Order, last days Europe as the state of Guangdong. Now, in the last video, well, we tried working on the anti-corruption ordinance, but it didn't quite work out how we wanted to do it, so we're going to just hold off on that for a bit. Instead, I think we're going to go ahead and work on the demolition of the old order. I think we will, why not, after all? Yeah, I think so. So let's go ahead and do the demolition of the old order. The aftermath of the Yasuda crisis has impacted everyone in Guangdong in one way or the other. It is imperative that we safeguard the nation from ever having to suffer from a similar situation. The pre-crisis Guangdong was very much extremely inefficient, its Byzantine bureaucracy and useless legislation contributing to the anguish of the crisis. We need to begin ridding ourselves of the structures of the past and begin anew. The process of a disposure and sale of unproductive and fruitless assets shall begin soon. Oh, there we go. Police control is working on being expanded. We could reinforce some police here, which I think we will. Look at that, we got control there. And we're getting more, almost got control over Chosu. Got almost... got a decent amount of support going across all of our states, really, which is nice to see. I think we're still doing, yeah, we just need to test out straight crossings. We're doing our best over here. Try to meet that. Oh, I do wonder if they had troops here that could potentially... Nah, doesn't matter. More civilian factories I think will be good. We'll get something. Light support artillery, why not? The Yasuda crisis, where the sky seemingly collapsed upon the livelihoods of every person in Guangdong, regardless of their position, wealth, or status. Matsushita remembered those days fondly, him scrambling to secure the assets of his company, hours upon hours of planning deliberation, culminating in his ascendancy above the debris of countless businessmen and investments. The tumultuous collapse of one soaring skyscraper of Yasuda has caused collateral damage to surrounding firms, leaving behind an enormous accumulation of bricks and concrete, materials beginning to be reused. Matsushita clasped his hand together and pondered over the numbers and value of the dormant capital scattered across Guangdong. Abandoned properties and businesses with lucrative potentials awaiting state seizures. He would organize an auction, award the assets to whoever offered the most, ultimately benefiting both parties. However, Matsushita knows that he cannot simply give away substantial profits to his economic competitors. After all, he still represented the interest of a single corporation. He swiftly reached for a list of abandoned assets and circled numerous items that were considered by him to be of strategic importance to Matsushita Electric, writing beside them the exact amount of cash that has to be bid by the corporation. He would not allow valuable entities to slip away from his grasp. Matsushita reached for the telephone, resting neatly upon his desk, and alerted the police to begin operations. He would firmly clutch this opportunity. The ultimate beneficiary would have to be Matsushita. The vultures begin to circle. We would get an extra seat here. I wonder if we're going to get a little thing about these assets being sold. We'll get extra liquid reserves and a seat if we support ourselves. I think we'll go ahead and seize dead firm's assets. The crisis left many struggling firms and businesses unable to continue under the stressful and devastating situation, and their husks now litter the streets and records of Guangdong. We shall begin the confiscation of abandoned and discarded properties in order to prepare them for sale in the near future, in order to raise money and keep the market in circulation. Well, there we go. What was I going to look up? TNO. Get us some extra liquid reserves. See, we currently have 42 seats. Probably get a little extra. Well, we'll get a little extra once we pass our economic check, which we've already done, more or less. Got 180 days to finish up the timeline, which I imagine by the time, if we ever manage to do anything. Oop. We're getting there. We will get there soon enough, probably, maybe. I don't know. We can research new stuff. I think I'll go ahead. And I can't view the community. What the shit? TNO mod. Reddit's been running slow for me lately. I don't know if it's the same. Well, now it loads. Finally. Probably should have looked this up before I did this. Matsushita auction. So it looks like I can pick one risky and one success safe option, and I'll probably be fine if I had to guess. So that's what I'm noticing on Reddit, although it might depend on the number of seats you have. I don't know if it's very clear how the auction works, but we'll probably find out. The Reichstadt is dead. Ding dong, the wicked bitch is dead. I don't know where the play button is on this thing. If we can get over here and start fighting these guys, that will be peak. I read this in the last video. I had to reload the save, so it repopped. Kubitschek elected. Interesting. Open observer. Not a surprise there. I believe it's, what's his name? Glasses guy. Who's, starting as VP. I think he can join the co-prosperity sphere. Potentially. Li HoI proceeded down the crowded and congested streets of Koshu, with a brilliant and vibrant lace of the orange sun illuminated his worried face as dusk gradually approached. Beads of sweat formed and flowed down his neck, and he sped across the cracked concrete sidewalks upon his worn bicycle, barely avoiding oblivious pedestrians and bystanders as he pedaled past them with the haste of a gazelle. A tender smile rested upon his lips, noticeable even throughout his obfuscating fatigue, panting, and heavy respiration. Thoughts raced across Liu's crowded mind as he reminisced about days gone by, the humble little restaurant nestled between two apartment blocks where he had once observed his father prepare warm bowls of soup and hearty plates of dumplings. A sincere smile he always adorned his face as he greeted his customers with cordiality. He had wanted to continue the business, to resume the endless amount of joy that his father had brought to so many people, but alas, that dream was cut short. When the crisis descended upon Guangdong, it slaughtered the livelihoods of millions of citizens, including his own. He continued to allow his mind to wander as he approached the former side of the restaurant. As the situation improved, he hoped he could revisit a place where so many of his earliest memories were made, perhaps one day revive it. He opened his mouth in astonishment, aghast and distraught. He felt as if a pound of bricks had just collapsed onto his spirit, shattering into a million irredeemable pieces, displaced fragments of vitality and resolve that would never be mended. Though in his heart, once a blossoming, elegant rose, serene and scintillating, had now wilted and shriveled in an instant, its vivid crimson petals withering onto the desiccated husks of something that once stood. Liu fell on his knees as he read the words covering the sign of the restaurant. A single tear rolled down his cheek. Seized. In possession of the state of Guangdong. Feels bad. I think we'll go ahead and favor the Japanese on this one. I think that's probably going to be played. Our economy's going down, so I might want to do a little mess around. I think we just need some more general Japanese approval, so I'm not going to mess with that too much. We will favor the Japanese. Our struggle through these hardships wouldn't have lasted not for the guidance and support of Japan. We desperately need to regain our favor and respect from powers within our partner. And providing them with an advantage in the upcoming auction will maybe a surefire way to achieve that goal. After all, most investors are Japanese. We're going to lose Zujin government support, but we actually have an okay amount of that, so I'm not sweating it too much. I'm hoping we can move over there, because this is going to be a nice place to attack into. I believe we read that one already as well. Just want to test out the straight crossings, man. How long is it going to take? 65 days. We still have time for that, right? Yeah, we got time. We might not have much time, but we do have time. Oh. Well, the game was about to break for a second. Christmas Island was not taken by the Australians. That's interesting, because I think they do take... They used to take Christmas Island. Once the war began. I guess they, that doesn't happen anymore, which is a little peculiar. We've got our economic check figured out. There we go. Look at that. 3% seat increase. I think that's the same event as last time around. Yep, I think it is. So we're pretty good. Kevy, how are you, my friend? Get back to work. How's it going, friend? Pleasure to see you. Oh, there's my laundry, nice. Let's go ahead and manipulate the process. The process of writing Guangdong's finances is to be conducted by a fair and transparent bidding process, in accordance with the free market principles that have served as the foundation of Guangdong's economy since its inception. Chief Executive Matsushita is well aware of the obligations that come with his position, his own interests as CEO of Matsushita Electric and Guangdong notwithstanding. It's always been true that the bending of the public interest to serve a private ends is a firmly established practice in Guangdong, allowing Matsushita's political and economic influence to grow like a cancerous growth in the years preceding its collapse. While Matsushita is eager to avoid the steps of Yasuda's downfall, he's not so devoted to principles to easily forego an opportunity to shore up his political and competitive position by making sure Matsushita holds the best assets at the end of the auction. How's your day so far, my friend? Ooh, can see attacked a little bit there. That's okay. Hoping to finish this up. Once we finish that, we can recall our volunteers, because I honestly don't care too much. Slightly hectic, but not bad. Hectic isn't bad, necessarily. Glad to see that that's holding true. God damn it. We just lost all of our new gains. Matsushita, or not Yasuda. Hitachi is gaining power. Fucking hate Hitachi. Fucking magic wand looking asshole. Great Indoslog continues, I see. Indeed. Indeed. Prominent artist Hirata Shoto appeared outside the Hong Kong building when the Japanese consulate general was exhibiting his paintings for a glimpse of his son. The place was far more bustling than he remembered seeing or being told in the past. It was harder for him to see anyone, let alone the man he was looking for. As far as anyone but Consul General Takashima, a good friend of his from younger, less complicated days, knew, Hirata had simply accomplished his painting in support of Greater Eastern Asia Ministry Cultural Exhibition. But in reality, though showing people his works was always well and good, Hirata was looking for his son, who he had known as Hirata Masaharu. He didn't have much time left, and he hadn't seen his son in years. He knew that ever since he got married to that corporate heiress, Masaharu hadn't had any time to keep in touch. But Hirata's view was that he had at least to try and keep in contact with his son one way or another. Going back inside, Hirata was distracted from his reverie by a man examining his paintings, with the kind of gaze Hirata knew to be that of a painter appraising a colleague's work. Being somewhat naive, he assumed the man was Japanese and introduced himself in that language. The man, speaking with a very slight accent Hirata had to strain to notice, introduced himself in fluent Japanese. Ling Fengmian, at your service, Mr. Hirata. Lin Fengmian? He knew that name. That was the name of a prominent Chinese artistic master, one whose work had been destroyed by reckless soldiers during the war, only for him to remake it from scratch and exhibit it left, right, and center throughout post-war China. Confronted with such a luminary of his art, what could he do but not respectfully as Lin responded? The very same. Well, that's interesting. We get to see Masaharu's actual father, not just his adopted one. I wonder if that's going to play up. Ooh. Extra jungle combat support. I have a feeling we might need that. Just a feeling. The Boers assert their neutrality. Alright, because the Boers have elections now. Fucking assholes. We have less seats than we started with. 39 seats. Fucking dicks. Matsushita stood alone, indifferent in expression, his mind engulfed in solemn contemplation. The expansive conference room was adorned with velvet curtains and vivacious shades of dark crimson. Sumptuous chairs draped in silky cloth were arranged in a semicircle around a single polished podium, where auctioneers would announce and allocate their prize assets. A cold breeze swept through the current empty room, soon to be filled with representatives of every major corporation of Guangdong, startling Matsushita as he continued his ceaseless deliberation. How far should he take it? What should he prioritize? These thoughts circled around his head, dilemma of careers, of interest. He paced around intently around the vacant chamber. He had to make a decision. The date of the auction was rapidly approaching, and hesitation would lead him nowhere. He originally intended for the auction to heavily favor the interests of Matsushita Electric. After all, his interests were their interest. However, it had become apparent that he would not have to reconsider. The Corporation's Legislative Council were not naive fools, their eyes sharp enough to pierce through thin and obvious veils intended to obfuscate foul play, and would certainly severely damage the stability of his position within the Legislative Council. Nonetheless, he would have to be decisive. He took a deep breath as he reevaluated his position. Whether the benefit of his family and company or his standing within council was more important to him. The name of Matsushita or the name of Unity? The name of Matsushita. We're going to hope this works well for us. Positioning Guangdong Executive gives us myriad opportunities to tip the balance of the sea's asset auction in our favor. Full accounting of the asset's value, their operations, and what synergies they could be present for in Matsushita Electric. All that needs to be done is to feed this information from the government back to the directors in Matsushita, while directing the auctioneers to prioritize Matsushita's access to the juiciest of assets available at the best price. Where the other corporations see a junkyard filled with rustling scraps of dying firms, we see boundless opportunities to turn lead into gold. All beneath our competition's notice. Yeah. Kawasaki Minori, recently promoted to lieutenant, smiled as he gazed over the headlines. Scum off our streets, death penalty for drug kingpins. A few seconds or a few minutes straining at the end of the rope would only replicate what they'd spend their whole lives doing to the city, to this continent. Let the bastard swing. The pleasant scent of coffee began to fill his nose as Kawasaki's wife, Kaoru, moved the tray forward, planting a small kiss on his cheek. Thank you, darling. I thought you said you never want to read about them again. Sure, but that was when everything I read made me feel stupid and tired. Now they all tell me how great and clever I am. Don't let it get to your head, she said, playfully flicking his head. You know, I haven't seen Captain Ito in a while. Where's he off to? Thailand, with the wife and kids for 2 weeks. Sounds lovely. We should do that someday. Or maybe Mexico or Peru. I'd love to, just as soon as the current case wraps up. We're supposed to hit the whorehouse next week, so after then. Wonderful, said Kyra, kissing him again and turning to their maid, cleaning the floor. You hear that, Chinese bitch? You'll be in a whorehouse if you don't work faster. Damn. Okay, then. Masaharu... Yeah, that took a turn, I know. Masaharu felt the morning's copy of the Kanton Kaizai Shimbun crumple in his hands, even as the salted salmon grew cold. Sachiko's voice, at first light and carefree, then increasingly tinged with concern, sounding as if it were a distant echo. The only thing his brain was capable of processing was the newspaper's headline. Sonus Lee Electronics Co. releases forced portable radio outside of Japan in Guangdong. Nothing about the radio's monochrome television refrigerators that Matsushita delivered to the world. Even after scanning each page from corner to corner, there are no major mentions of Matsushita Electric, only cursory reviews of the air conditioner that finally made Masaharu's days, long tormented by humidity, humanly tolerable. All eyes were on the first step of technological revolution being made in Guangdong, one that Matsushita had missed. Feeling well, maybe you should call in sick. A tap on his shoulder brought Masaharu back to his senses, with Sachiko looking on worriedly. I'm fine. I'll be heading off soon, just not hungry. The shrill ring of the phone in the next room cut Masaharu off as Sachiko rushed to answer their unexpected call. Masaharu heard Sachiko's voice, pitched lower, quieter, the deference according to one's betters. Sachiko's first words as she returned to the living room filled Masaharu with renewed dread. You're wanted in Osaka for a meeting, dear. Well, shit. Lin Fengmiang stuck around after the painting exhibition ended. It was late in the evening, and even Takashima had taken his leave, but Hirata Shoto left for himself no real choice but to sit down and talk with a man that he knew for a fact was a great luminary in art in the great 20th century. Hirata's curiosity was piqued by the contrast between his and Lin's painting styles, whereas Hirata's tendency was towards traditional Japanese Nihonga. Lin preferred Western influence in modernist artworks. He went over that with Lin, who cheerfully discussed it with him, but then grew solemn as the conversation went on in Japanese. Hirata, of course, noted and inquired, what seems to be the issue? The Guangdong-born Lin replied, sighing, It grieves me that I have to converse in my homeland with another painter in a foreign tongue. Hirata did not really understand that, and he made his confusion known, but art surely transcends border and human languages. Would that be so? But even the art that does, as you say, is inseparably influenced by the circumstances in which it's created. That moment, Hirata understood his colleague's feelings more clearly and nodded his understanding. The rest of the conversation proceeded pleasantly enough, and the two painters parted on good terms. Lin carried the other painter's farewell with respectful bow that carried a certain finality to it. For he knew, the way the world was, that they would probably never see each other again. We won the Rugby Grand Slam, beating England in Dublin the day after St. Paddy's Day. That is incredible. You love to hear that. Testing and straight crossing, we're doing that, right? West African War. Took it long enough to kick off, honestly. And with that, I'm told it was your decision to set up the altercation with the truck, was it? Major Yoshinori asked Colonel Miyazaki, holding a pen towards the captain insignia. Sir, yes, sir! Well, I hope you appreciate the potential gravity of the situation you almost set in motion. That was far too close. If it weren't for the sheer incompetence of our Mongol colleagues, we would be knee-deep in it right now. I'm surrounded by imbeciles, over there and in here. Tell me, with balancing two sets of imbeciles calling themselves officers of law, help us maintain our position in Asia in any way. Sir, no, sir! Correct. What makes it very fortunate for your sake is that this did not spill over, and that a new plane is already set in motion. You'll be informed in due time. Now get out of my sight, Captain. He escaped off quickly. Miyazaki moved his hand over to the phone. Perhaps a subtle approach was needed. Mr. Komai? Colonel Miyazaki speaking. Uh-oh. Are we not getting straight crossing? Ooh, data storage technology. Which one is that again? Which does that benefit? Just a general political power. I'll take that. That is nice. We're not getting... Oh! I'd take it back. Time to end product testing. Look at that. As a military cargo plane touches down in the rain at a base, PTRG scientists and military personnel deplane into the wet, humid night. The former push around boxes worth of combat data and intelligence gained from the most recent development of the PTRG battalions, eager to discuss improvements and changes that need to be made to their weapons that they've been observing. They carry reports that their superiors will spend sleepless nights shifting through, making sure that every product that comes out of Guangdong's weapons development lab is not a failure by any and all metrics, lest they want to be replaced. The data will be processed, with some of it being thrown out as useless and other bits being prized as the gold standard. As the data is loaded off into their vans, they disappear in the neon cityscape that dominates the Guangdong night. The latter stands in the rain, awaiting orders from their commanders to return to their barracks. They unload dozens of wooden coffins containing their fallen comrades, with soaked flags covering them, offering little protection against rain. There are no thanks, no rewards for having been the guinea pigs and lab rats for collecting the aforementioned data. Survivors know that as the next conflict breaks, they'll be sent to another foreign land to test for equipment that was likely to malfunction and blow up in their face by their commanders. The same ones who watch as entire companies are torn apart in order to see if Guangdong's novel equipment could pass high standards. Both groups would return back to their daily duties, knowing that they would meet on the same airfield again at some point in the near future. Back to normal in Guangdong. 2 Legco seats, extra liquid reserves. The dead volunteers are really Night City legends, true. Extra GDP growth. Excellent. Well, I was going to check, because I remember... We're going back up there, economy-wise. Go back to lowering the... Could do military austerity, but I don't think that's actually going to do too much for us. Cut a little spending, see if that helps us. Underworld Ascent. Guangdong versus Manchukuo GDP check. Go ahead and Manchukuo, yeah. We're getting there. We are about, what is that, 7 billion off? A little less than 7 billion, actually, like 6.5. Approximately. So we're catching up pretty well. Gonna get the next product cycle coming soon. We're taking all that we can in the auction. Fuck dong, Guangdong money. Okay, what the shit? This day's wave of the endless tide of intrigue and whispers within the Legislative Council surrounded the sudden shifting loyalties of certain lawmakers. 3 faces vanished from usual caucuses, and 3 had in turn appeared in Itachi contingent. Soon, all the whispers were asking the same question. How much could Itachi have paid them? They asked each other. It was an inevitable question. The men questioned so abruptly crossed the aisle that something had to have been lubricated the shift in their mind. How much can I get for myself? Where do I look? They asked themselves. The shift died once more. Itachi's gone too far. They were trying to coup the Legco through subversive means and buying seats. We can finally go after them, it would seem. Okay. Itachi's influence continues to grow. It's worth monitoring the situation. Let's investigate Hitachi accounts. We'll bribe Hitachi representatives. And we'll also threaten these fucking assholes. It's about time we go after Hitachi, if you ask me. Kevy, it's your favorite. It's time for a funny. Gonna get this going for another 10 minutes. I think I want to end this little focus event chain. Nationalize them, fuck the dildo dongs. True. Browser of a Kenpai officer and the harshly creaking trains were referred as a ground on the way to their target. They knew the plan inside and out. Months of going over had put this moment in front of them. Hold on. I put this moment front and center of their mind. Finally, with the croaks of the engine died, the doors flung open. Before even the light had a chance to enter, the boots of a Kenpai had hit the ground. Yet they were not ready for what met them. The police. The hideout was dealt with, even if been a far bloodier affair than a Kenpai had prepared. A police present alone proved they were a long way from the docile establishment the Kenpai had come to expect. Their success only added to their confusion. Dazed, the police pushed them away from the scene, and for once, they would have to recognize their responsibility. Police are back. Did you miss us? Barely have control in Chokai or Chokai or Shokan, for that matter, actually. I think I'll work on catching up these guys, though. Funny time, go. Take all that we can. Now we're going to go ahead and try to sell, and sell. All the investigative accounting has been completed. The legal paperwork for the title transfer is complete. We'll open the bidding for the assets seized in the aftermath of Isuda collapse, taking the expense off maintaining and dead embers of Isuda off the state books, and allowing the corporation's best position to make use of them to breathe life back in the economy. As the true expression of the capitalist metabolism, the life cycle of capital, it's time for us to take its course, and Guangdong's coffers will receive a much-needed shot in the arm. Matsushita's malfunctions multiply, no sight and end. Fujitsu fumbles yet again. Sony stock slips and slides. Amid the sensationalist headlines, there's an uncomfortable amount of truth. Reports from each three of these companies had carried a similar selection of disappointing results over the last quarter. Uproar spread like wildfire between the markets and media as stock prices taken the slump. Yet the same extent of this reversal of fortunes was not met by Hitachi, whose prices had held firm while all the others wavered. Soon another phrase appeared, again and again in the headlines, a vote of confidence in Manchurian quality. Perhaps it was luck, perhaps not. That did not matter. Guangdong had come to need any hope from its business, no matter the place. Hitachi wins again. Cocksuckers. Their influence continues to grow, yet the full conspiracy eludes us. This is... Ooh! The NPA is... emerging. Long Yun. It's gonna be gamer time in China soon. Motherfuckers. Proactive deployment of Kenpai agents against an uptick of gang violence across the regions outside of the Three Pearls. The recent developments of Kenpai Tai units across rural regions of Guangdong have been successful in combating the gangs that had taken hold of these regions. This bodes well for the fight against gang encroachment, not for the reputation of the police force. Only the elusive presence of these gangs were known, and firm leads for their present whereabouts have never got further than rumors. Evidence to substantiate these rumors were diffuse, but a lack of action to capitalize on such evidence is thus a cause for concern. Blame for the situation prior to Kenpai Tai intervention has already been shifted towards the police. Questions over lack of concrete knowledge of the gangs has already been raised and will need answers. The effectiveness and precision of Kenpai Tai raises questions in turn. This operation will have required intelligence. Intelligence was not made available to police. Ultimately, our own failures have been laid bare, but the deceit of Kenpai Tai has too. Signpost towards a treacherous road. Increase in Fujitsu support? Or, profits? German hegemony returns. Those Kenpai Tai assholes. Are back in control in Shokai, but we'll get there eventually. We'll get back there eventually. Hopefully. It was evening when they beached the boat on the shore. Eastwards, the sun lingered in roseate and pink hues, warming the clouds for a final time before descending beneath the mountains and under the curve of the earth. Lamb stood waiting for the headman of the fishing boat to divide the day's catch. "Here you go," the man said, thrusting rough, dry sheaves of paper, money into his hands, along with some change. "Before I forget, your uncle wanted to see you this evening." Lamb gave a wry smile, thanking the headman. He turned to leave. 4 intervening years in China have been kind to China, Lamb surmised. In the village where the brocades of silk had threaded their way to markets worldwide, now the children fished off hostile waters. The waves susurrated behind him as he lifted one foot behind the other in dry soil. Our path wound through the wood, leading back into the village. Crickets chirped as the earth grew cold. Sparse poles mounted with torches lit the way forward. 2 houses drove from his parents' home. Lamb knocked on the door of his uncle's abode. "Come in." Candles lit the empty floor space where there had been looms and other tailoring equipment. The soldiers took all of it and more. The looms, needles, mulberry seeds, everything. Now even the wooden boards had gone to disrepair, rotting and falling to the grassy void beneath the elevated house. At the end of the work hall was his uncle's room, who was sitting in a chair behind the bed. Bandages wrapped around themselves around where his foot was shot 4 years ago. "Good. You're here. I need you to take this packet of tea to your mother. Good for your digestion." "I'm no good now. I can't even walk with this." "Everyone has their bad days, Uncle. Not your fault." "It can't go on for much longer than this, can it?" His uncle looked at him. "I don't know. I don't understand." "Just drive. I don't care where. Could be to Moscow if you want." "As you wish, Chief Executive." The police commissioner looked out of a tinted window towards the Koshu Marina. Despite the best and the brightest of Guangdong's efforts, the neon signs that clamor for attention from the millions of would-be customers and should have been regulars only into the fog that smothered them. The inside of the car was nothing special. Same cream upholstery, same plush seats as what an aged salaryman could expect to find in a taxi. Of course, that was what made it peculiar at all, considering who he was sitting beside. "Commissioner." The chief executive did not look at him. His head craned downwards, the mess of dossiers and files that lay at his feet. Too messy had been organized by a secretary, at least a competent one. This was all him. When I first took the job, I was told by my colleagues that this was a fool's errand, that this task of cleaning up the streets of our little corner of the world was a Sisyphean one. The police commissioner did not say anything, only nodding his head to signify that he caught every word. That the wolves at the door would be too strong to keep back at bay. Look at poor Suzuki, bested by forces that he could not understand. When the plates stopped spinning, the only thing that they could do was fall to the ground. But I'm not Suzuki Taichi, am I, Commissioner? The car stopped, making a gentle turn into a dense, dark alleyway. Still idling, but now waiting for its master to fill its purpose. I'm not Suzuki Taichi, and I'm not some fucking puppet that they can just cut the strings and leave me to die. I am the chief executive, and I'll put them down like the dogs they are. We both know who they are, don't we, Commissioner? The police commissioner turned to face the chief executive and simply handed him a manila folder before unlocking the door to leave. Hitachi, chief executive. We're fighting Hitachi. Their influence is growing. They're about to get another seat. But we're about to sell off the rest of our assets. The job had not been outlined as easy, managing investment on behalf of the chief executive, but sometimes Ren thought he and his team were set up to fail. Another fucking drop. Yes, it happened almost an hour ago after we opened this morning. Multiple large sell orders by people we have not been able to contact yet. My team is trying, though. It also triggered a number of other sell orders about an hour later. We managed to keep the stock from dipping too low, but it's becoming too much to handle. The stock price won't be able to withstand too many more short squeezes. I think we should get some extra help. You're telling me? Somebody's fucking with us. Somebody that wants our company to fail. Ren could think of a few people that could get that to happen. Ren wiped the sweat off his forehead. His office had gotten too stuffy and his suit clutched to him like a vice. Keep going. If I could put this forward, all these sell orders have been directed at each major company in Guangdong aside from Hitachi. I believe that Hitachi might be the ones behind this massive sell order that occurred this morning. Their stocks mostly been untouched by these sell orders. Hitachi had always been vocal opponents against the chief executive and the company representative. Ren should have seen this coming. It's too late to think about that. Sir? I have to make a choice. Tell the team that we're going to request the Treasury to intervene. This is too much for us to handle. It's going to piss off everyone. But you know what's going to piss them off even more? Chinese. Hitachi takeover. I was going to wait to finish this up, but I think the video's gone for too much, so I'm ending it here. So thanks so much for watching, gang. Like if you like, dislike if you didn't. Comments down in the comment section below. Subscribe, hit the notification bell if you feel like it. Check out the notifications and, notification bell and the various links down in the description box below. That's it for now, my friends. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Mr. Dogmail53. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.